So student. I finished a master's in social.
All right, folks, we're gonna get started.
Your success story.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Erie's SGA Path to Success Roundtable Talk. Today we have administrator and alumni here to basically give us their insight on how they succeeded through life and through their college and career and how they became success, and give us some advice basically on their success stories and what brought them to who they are today. So first I'm going to ask a few questions, pretty simple questions. Tell us who you are, what you do, and where you went to school.
Hi, I'm Jason Perry. I'm the Dean of Students here at Suny, Erie, primarily for the North and City campuses. And I attended Suny Geneseo for my undergrad and did my grad work at the University of Buffalo.
Hello, everybody. My name's Katie Marshall. I'm the Director of Career Services here at the college. I did my undergraduate work at SUNY Brockport, and then I went on to Northern Arizona University for my graduate degree.
Good afternoon. I'm Marvin Wilson. I operate the Men of Merit program in Middle Early College High School here at SUNY Erie. I did my undergraduate work at SUNY Cortland, my master's degree work at Columbia University and University of Buffalo, and my doctorate at the University of Buffalo.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cesar Galarza. I'm a local pastor here in the community of Buffalo. I wear many hats. I'm also a chaplain with the Erie County Sheriff Office, and I began my college journey here in Erie Community College in the city campus. I continued in Buffalo State, then UB for my master's in social work, and I'm currently a student of Northeastern Seminary.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Samuel L Radford III. I am the director for the CAL Better Schools, Better Neighborhood program, also co-chair for We the Parents. I went Erie Community College. I was a student government president here at ECC, and then I went on to SUNY Empire. And that's my journey.
Okay.
All right. Another question. Who or what influenced you to attend college?
It was my parents. My dad was a first generation college student. My mother never attended college. So I think the expectation growing up was that we were going to, both my brother and I would attend college. He attended one semester at then ECC. And I think it was kind of from a very early age, kind of embedded in us that in order to better ourselves and do better than what my parents had, that, we needed at least to try to attempt college, if not complete it.
For me, it was definitely my parents. There was always an expectation that we would go on to college. But I have to say the high school I went to was very supportive. We had a small group of students, and we had a college advisor that met with us individually to talk about what we needed to do to get into college. And that was extremely helpful.
In my situation, I'm a first generation college student. And back in my day, back in Brooklyn, New York, I was motivated by one of my teachers. I didn't have a role model, especially a male role model. So one of my teachers inspired me to go to college. And without that inspiration, I would not be here today.
Well, for me, I think it was the willingness to serve the community. I began to serve in the community in 2016, and I have no college education. And I know the struggles of our community, and so the willingness of helping others give me that drive to be capable of helping others. So I began here in 2017, and I did the pre-collegiate program, and because I really didn't have any college, I wasn't considered college material. That's the way I call myself. So I began that program, and then along the time here in ECC, I have many mentors that help me, and I think that's my push.
Actually, it was kind of an expectation of, my family, my church, my community. But I didn't actually go to college after. I went to the Marine Corps out of high school. And after I came out of the Marine Corps, I was helping my brother get registered, and they had a veteran support program, and I signed up, and I ended up in college and loved it.
It's interesting to hear everybody else's influence as to what made them want to further their education and their careers. Is really interesting. What do you remember being the biggest challenge while going through college?
I think there were two. The first for me was that I had a very difficult time connecting with kind of the services that I needed. So trying to learning how to navigate the college. Who did I go to about, when I was failing an English class and I needed additional assistance writing? That was one of the big ones. The second one was that I had double majored and thought I was going to go into a particular field. I wanted to own a record label or work at a record label, and did an internship with one my senior year. Hated it, and then realized my second semester of my senior year, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, because I had kind of prepared myself to do this one thing that all of a sudden I realized I did not enjoy and didn't want to spend the rest of my life doing. So that to me was, I think, one of the biggest challenges and obstacles was, what do I do now that I have 3 months until I graduate? And the degrees, while there were a lot of transferable skills in the degrees I had taken, the job I was planning for was no longer part of my future.
For me, I think it's that I mentioned before that there was always an expectation that I would go to college, but there wasn't a lot of conversation about what I would do after I graduated. And that meant that when I went to college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to major in because I didn't really have a clear goal. So I switched my major several times, which is always can be a setback if you flip-flop around too much. And although in hindsight, I realized that there were services on campus to help me, I didn't know, and I didn't take advantage of any of those services. So yeah, I kind of went back and forth, and I finally settled on psychology. Because I liked it, not because I really knew what kind of career options there were. And when I graduated, I realized that there wasn't too much I could do with a 4-year degree in psychology. So there I was off to grad school. I wish if I could go back again, I probably would take more advantage of the career exploration, which makes a lot of sense because I'm the director of career services now. So, I encourage students to talk to their advisors and take advantage of those resources if you're not sure.
My undergrad experience was very challenging. Back then I was an EOP student, which opened the door for me to get into an undergrad school. But I found myself in all my classes, the only Black kid in all my classes. And because of that, it was a very difficult time adjusting to the culture at the time. But again, thanks to the EOP program, we got together because back then, all people of color were in the EOP program. So we use that as our extended family to a degree. And because I wanted to become a gym teacher, I was inspired to stay in school, and I became a gym teacher. I was also captain of track and cross country. I won all my races. I had a good experience there. So being a student athlete also inspired me to stay in school. As a matter of fact, when we look at students now to come into higher education, I look very carefully if you're a student athlete because you're disciplined, you know about hard work, you can balance your academic side and athletic side. Those are the kind of young men and women we're looking for to come into college because they got that background. So to summarize, being a student athlete helped me get through undergrad because that was my extended family. Other than that, I was very intimidated being the only Black kid in all my classes. So I guess being a student athlete again saved me and helped me to stay in school.
Wow. Challenges. I think there were many, but I will mention two. First was the language barriers. I came very late to college, and I have difficulty speaking English and most of all writing and reading English. So that was a challenge that pushed me to learn how to use other sources and also to look for help in the college. That was one of my biggest challenges of college. And another one is that I came to college when I already have a family. My daughter was in college when I came to college. My younger son was a middle school, and trying to maneuver a family, financials, college, it was very difficult. But I find strength here in my network, my family support, and also in the advisement here in the college. So those are my two challenges that I think they were very significant, but I think they also pushed me.
Ditto. The biggest issue was I came as I had a family. I had a family, had a full-time job, a full-time student, and that was his own challenge. But the other challenge really was because I had military background when I came in. It was very disciplined and able to focus in and get things done, and which ultimately led me get into student government because there were a lot of things going on that I thought were unfair at the college that needed to be confronted, and a lot of people were passive and just kind of went along to get along. And so the challenge was saying that students, we don't have to, it's part of our job is to contribute to what our experience is here. And so we have to, if we think we can make it better, we have to do something to make it better. We can't just complain about the way things are. And so it was a challenge when we started to mobilize students to, bring about changes, to make the college better than we found it. But ultimately the college experience helped us frame how to do that.
Okay. Who is the person that affected your academic journey the most, and how or why?
I had an instructor in my communication program that when I was, who I went to, who was the, when I was working at, one of the student clubs I was in was the radio station. I was DJing on the radio station, and he was one of the faculty advisors, and I was confiding in him about, what do I do with my life? This is what I thought I wanted to do. And he said he had graduated from a program at the University of Buffalo and said, do you know that there's actually a field called student affairs, that the stuff you do, all of these, and he was a little condescending, but he's like all these kind of, frothy, frilly pizza party programs, like there is an actual degree that you can earn to work with students, to help them to succeed, to be the person that I am being right now in this situation and help students to figure out their path through college. Before that, I had no clue. I didn't know where college administrators came from. I assumed they were failed teachers or they were hatched. I don't know. They were, so it was eye-opening to me. So he really was the one person who pushed me to look into the field that's become kind of my lifelong passion.
For me, it was an administrator at Suny Brockport. She offered me a job as a tutor, and that was my first experience working with college students. I hadn't considered doing it before, but after I started doing it, I realized that it was something that interested me, and really it gave me a background. So when I went on to apply to other jobs working for colleges, I had some experience, which gave me a leg up. So yeah, it was something that I feel lucky to have kind of walked into. And it got me started on the trajectory that I'm on now.
I think in my case, there's probably two people that come to mind. The first person was my supervisor when I worked at SUNY Fredonia as a hall director. That was my first experience working in student affairs work in higher education. And again, back then, I was the only person of color on the entire staff. So again, that said to me, we need more people like me here. So that inspired me to make sure more men graduate, and more men of color graduate. Secondly, when I was at UB's grad school, working on my master's degree in student personnel, my mentor came to me one day and said, there's a PhD program at UB that cannot find men of color. Are you interested? And my response was, who, me? PhD? No, not me. What are you talking about? So that mentor at the time opened the door for me to get a fellowship at UB to do my PhD work, and my life changed forever.
Amen.
And because my life changed, inspired me to make sure more men of color get into these positions or get in higher education, because we're still not here. We're still not represented enough. and it's going to be still an ongoing challenge for all of us. I was just mentioning to Katie about it. I saw a student who's now working at Roswell, one of our program students working at Roswell as a nurse, because his mentor is at Roswell. So people we can find as mentors to open the door for the students, that gets them on the pathway to success.
Amen. For me, I'm going to mention two from here. I know that I found myself many mentors through my years. I need them. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. But when I first came here, I dropped school in the 90s. I'm kind of old. And when I came back then, a D or a C, it was okay for me. That was like, I'm going through this, I'm doing it. Then when I came here, I thought that was okay. That was my average. And then I met this English teacher here, Professor Eleni, and I met her here, and I turned in a paper, and it was an 80, and I was so happy because I got an 80. That's the first time in my life. And she said, you can do way better than this. Take it back and do it again. And then I turn it back, I got an 85, and she say, no, you can do better than this. Take it back. And I did it again until I got a 90. And then she told me, you are a 90 student. And that turned something in my brain and say, I can do this. This is what I'm going to do. And that changed my life. Another thing that here, another professor, Professor Bayman, he was never my professor because students always say he's a tough professor. And I said, no, okay. But he was my advisor. And I went to his office 2 or 3 times in the week. And before the end of the semester, I was looking and asking, what should I do next? What the next class that I can take that I can do good in it? Tell me how the professor, and I talked with that man many times in my time here. And I think he helped me tremendously to go through school and to learn what I'm good at it and follow what I'm good at it.
Yeah, for me, it's two, both who I met here, and I still in my life. First is Dr. Hakeem Cosby, who, he challenged me to, just do top quality work, just would not accept anything less than the best. He gave me, opened me up to explore areas that, I hadn't been exposed to before. He was an African-American history teacher, and he connected me to history and culture and to just things that was life-changing for me. And Mr. L. Nathan Hare, he was the Dean of Special Programs here, and literally mentored me all the way through for the rest of my life. He's my mentor now. I worked with him in many different places, but those two men poured into me and invested in me in a way. I didn't want to be a politician, but I wanted to make a difference in the world. And Dr. Cosby helped me understand there was something called a statesman, where you could be, make a difference in the world, and you didn't have to be, get into the corruption of politics. And he allowed me to find how to express myself in the world in a meaningful way without having to compromise. And I'm ever grateful to him for it.
It's really inspiring to hear all of you had mentors or people who were in positions above you who inspired you to become the leaders and administrators that you are for our community today. So I really appreciate them for giving them that word of advice to make you the powerful people that you are. What piece of advice did you receive as a student that you continue to utilize today?
Don't get discouraged. And that was one of the things that I think has kept me going, is that when something happens in your work life, in your home life, in, day-to-day working with students, don't get discouraged and don't see simply the negative side of things. That even though you may have a conversation with a student, or I may have a conversation with a student, and it doesn't go quite the way I wanted it to go, you never know when the light is going to go off for someone, or when it's going to click. So the seeds that I'm planting with students and the conversations I have, I'm probably never going to be able to see those germinate into the, life-changing ideas or kind of the aha moments that they have. So don't get discouraged. Realize that the work matters. The work that you're doing matters, even if you don't see necessarily the immediate impact of that.
So this is not advice that I received, but it's advice I wish I had received. And it's to get involved. Get involved in any way you can. Volunteer, join a club, join an organization, a sports team, do an internship. You don't have to do all of that, but pick something and get involved. It's how you learn more about yourself. It's how you learn more about what you're interested in. It's how you gain experience and you build a network. It's how you find mentors. And it prepares you for whatever your future is going to hold. So that is my advice, is to get involved in something.
In my area, we pay particular attention to getting our students ready for life after ECC. Will they be marketable? Will they be competitive? Will they be motivated? And that brings up 2 points when I talk to students. Point number one, that I've learned through experience: slow but steady wins the race.
Amen.
There's no rush to get this done. And you can testify that you get this done. Stop making excuses. And then the second thing I tell my students that I've learned, the best surprise is no surprise. We give you the playbook. We tell you how to articulate, how to give a handshake, how to be presentable, how to speak well, how to take care of your personal hygiene. All that comes into play to make you a full-rounded adult. So when you graduate, you're ready for the workforce. And then it comes back to tough love. We sometimes are surrogate dads in jobs like ours. So if you were my son or daughter, I would expect you to be the best of the best, no excuses. And most importantly, you have our open door 7 days a week to talk to us. If you have any concerns, as Katie was saying, let us know. So we can, we're the experts, we can help you with this.
Man, one thing that I did learn, and I taught it, I tell everyone that I meet, either as a social worker, any intervention, or offering pastoral care, is to learn how to learn. And I'll explain that in a minute. Back in the day, there was a format of learning. Read this big book, write this big paper. Learn this material, use this, and to put in this test. I learned that was not my way of learning. I cannot read for more than 30 minutes one sitting. So I had to learn video, audio book, anything that helped me acquire the knowledge that I need, the information that I need, I will use it. And I tell everyone, because that's the advantage that we have today. Back in the day, we don't have it. That's why probably I didn't do good in school in the past. But now we have all this technology, and we should use it. If you need to learn something, look for a video on it. Audio book. Use the technology. Use all the resources available to succeed on college. Don't wait until just one source of information when there's a big, huge source out there to learn. So that was one of the things that I tell everyone: find your way, the best way you learn, and use it.
I actually had a ball in college because of the advice that I got about your world is what you make it. And if you want it, whatever you want your experience to be, you got to contribute to it being that. And when we got that advice and we start working with our advisors on, the issues that we had, academically, we got together as a group and supported each other. Then we joined clubs, we created clubs. I mean, when I say we had a ball, we had a life experience, and we had older students. So it wasn't like, most of us was older, had families, but we was able to come in here and shape this into what we wanted to experience through intramurals, through club activities on the newspaper. When I say we was involved, we were involved, and it was a life-changing experience. So because they said, instead of complaining, do something about it, make it be what you want to be. This is college. This is your opportunity to do that through these networks. And so we got people, we got them in those good clubs and got them in those participating in the newspaper, and they got to travel. We got to go to the newspaper conferences. We brought conferences here. Just experiences that who knew? I had no idea. So because we were pushed to make it better than we found it. So when we left, the people after us could have a better experience.
I wish I had a notebook and a pencil so I could write all your advice down. It's perfect. Conversely, what's a piece of advice that you wish you knew while you were in college?
Balance your academics with the other parts of your life in college. That involvement piece that Katie was talking about. I think I focused far too much at one point on my grades, and then at another point on my involvement at the expense of my grades. But finding that balance, and being able to say no, being able to say, I'm not capable of taking this on right now. That, I have a certain capacity and it's okay to not be able to do something.
Well, that was kind of how I answered the last question, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I just say, take advantage of the time to build your network. Take advantage, find somebody who will be your champion, and find somebody who knows more than you and learn from them.
In my area, I say to myself, be a good student. But back in my day, I was surviving on an all-white campus. So I partied, I hung out. I got decent grades, but they were not good grades. Because no one said to me, your job is to be a good student. Your job is to have good grades, lead by example. That I didn't know back then that I say these days. But be a good student, lead by example. Those are my top 2 points.
I wish I knew that I had to be on time. Because parking is difficult, especially when we're studying here. It's kind of still difficult.
For sure.
So
It's still a problem.
So that was the thing that I had to learn, and I'm still learning. God help me to be plan ahead, to be on time, and I think that's a piece of advice. If you come into college, you have to set some time because it takes time.
There are two big lessons I wish I had knew. The first one was that big change takes time. It takes, we had so much success on small things that we thought we could take on big things and they could change quickly. When you're dealing with a big institution or a city or a country, it takes time to change things. You got to be patient. And the second thing is understand the importance of research. There were so many things that, we thought we were the first people fight these battles. And then once you go and you study and you find out, well, you like the 10th generation that then tried it, it could have saved us some time if we would have spent more time understanding with the people before us who had fought battles and who had worked to make change, if we understood it better. So my advice to people, or the advice I wish I'd have had, is to know more about history before you execute something in the present time.
How did you define success when you were in college? How do you define it now?
In college, success was having that piece of paper. It was graduating. It was getting done. And I think that oftentimes students view that as the end game, just simply finishing, getting it done. I think success now is building, like Katie said, that network. Having kind of this group of people around you who are there to both challenge and support you. You're successful, or I'm successful, if I've done something that has removed a barrier for someone. I'm successful if I have taken the time to be authentically present with somebody. Those things matter more than kind of the piece of paper or the end game. It's those little moments in the day that impact the lives of others that, to me, are what true success is.
Yeah, for me, it was just grades. That's just how I kind of gauged myself, whether or not I was learning a lot. It was just like, get a good grade. That's all that matters. And now, for me, it's more about doing something meaningful, and also maintaining balance with my personal life and making sure that I'm happy, and that my family's happy. So that does require balance. Jason had mentioned that before. If you put all your energy into one thing, sometimes you lose that balance. So you have to juggle multiple priorities and figure out what's important to you.
Being the first person in my family to go to college, I agree with Jason. Graduation was everything. it was life-changing. And for a while, I didn't even know if I could even do that. So graduating from college was my first success. These days, I equate success with having, as Katie said, a strong professional network. You have to have a mentor, and ideally in the profession that you're aspiring to become. So for example, in the Men of Merit program, we've got men who are now nursing in the nursing program at Roswell because their mentor works at Roswell. So the more you can prepare yourself by having a solid mentor that stays with you and even after graduation, that's the lesson we're giving our students now. Build that strong network of professionals, and of course, have a professional volunteer mentor working with you.
For me, back in college was, well, I mentioned that I wanted to help people, but I'm in the back of my mind I was thinking I can make more money if I go to college too. So, thinking on that financial maybe freedom or financial increase was there. So that was part of what I thought could be a success. But then when I finished, I figured that I choose one of the two careers that less money making, social work and pastoral. So that's out of the out of the question now. But the success now is measured through the people that we can empower. There's people out there that need of us, and we came through college. We become prepared for them. So I think that's my success. Every time I can work something to give some resources to someone in need in the community, I know that I'm successful in what I study for. Every time I can give a good advice and someone can find a job, I think I'm successful. So that's how I measure success now.
I had a really clear definition of success when I got here because I was in the Marine Corps before that. So when I came to college, I was clear that success for me was getting paid to do something I would do for free. I wanted to do something I wanted to do because I spent 5 years doing stuff people told me to do, and I was clear about that. And when I left here, I was in shock when I got my first job offer. I had worked at 6 months, volunteer, and got paid to do something I would do for free. You know what I'm saying? And so that was what success for me. Now success for me is make it better than you found it. Whatever I'm involved in, long as when I get there as a result of being there is some kind of way better. That's how I define success now.
All right, last question. What is the one thing that you hope SUNY Erie students leave here today and remember?
I think the one thing, if you're going to walk away today from seeing this, is that we are all success stories. We are all people who came from very different walks of life, very different starting points. And we were able to overcome both the challenges, internal and external, that were, perhaps barriers to us becoming successful. You can do it. Each of you has it within yourself to succeed. It's a matter of being able to seize the moments that you need to, recognizing the moments when you need the most assistance, and then reaching out for that assistance to be able to have someone help you. You're not an island. We are here as a support system to guide you through your experience at SUNY Erie and ultimately help you to move on and be whoever it is you want to be once you leave here.
I hope students walk away knowing that there are many people here to help them, and that sometimes you have to seek that person out, but you need to take the initiative and be intentional about it, but that there's somebody here to help you. So when we talk about finding mentors and connecting with people, sometimes that happens through programs. Sometimes it's because, you get a phone call to get involved in something, but sometimes it's because, and more often, it's because you took the initiative to find somebody to help you. So I hope students know that at any department you go to, advisors, staff, there is somebody here to help you, and you just need to ask for it if you need it.
Along with Katie's information, which is of course extremely important, as a student, remember, you made the decision to change your life through education. It also means you have an obligation to be the best you can be. So for example, when I talk to my male students, I ask them a question: are you a person of character, a person of integrity, a person of excellence? Do you give back to your community? Do you do volunteer work? What do you do to shape your life so when you graduate, once again, you are the best candidate for the job you're pursuing? Can you be the best of the best? With our help, the answer would be yes.
Well, what can I say after what they have said? Huh? But if I can offer a piece of advice, me as representing a Latino community, I would say those Latino students that could watch this and say, you can do it. If a person like me with a social bad background, difficulties as a youth, language barriers, even addictions, can come to a point where he could do it, I think anyone can do it. My advice is find those that have the same values of you, the same faith, the same, they like the same things, and see, especially that they are willing to learn and to succeed life. Attach yourself to people that want to overcome barriers, and you will overcome barriers. So that would be my advice to any student or any ethnicity that might find themselves challenged by the culture, by the language. Just find those that you can identify with, that have your same values, and move along with them to make a change in this country.
I think the advice I would give is twofold. First, my grandmother told me when I was a kid, she said, if two people exactly alike, one of them ain't necessary. She made the point that you had to find who you were in this world, your purpose in the world. There's no other you on the planet. It's some unique contribution you have a responsibility to make. And so but you know, I mean, the second part of that is that we're actually sitting right here is one of my professors when I was in college. Professor Fields was one of my professors, and sitting right up here in the SGA room, I remember him talking to me about something I was reading, and he said that what you're looking for, they said, is in the first chapter, and not only is in the first chapter, it's in the first paragraph of the first chapter, in the first word of the first chapter, in the first letter of the first word, and then the dot that went on the paper to make it, which, you know, opened me up to the world of what you're looking for is inside of you. And it comes out. It comes out through your writing. It comes out through your expression. It comes out. But you got to find something inside of you that matters to you. And you got to seek to express it to the world. And there's so much support around to help you do that. But look for something that matters to you and make a difference.
That was really powerful. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. The SGA really appreciates it. And I'm sure any SUNY Erie student, including myself, would appreciate any and all those testimonies that you guys gave today and the advice. I myself will definitely be using your advice personally moving forward in my career and in my goals. So I really thank you all for being here and taking the time out of your day for being here.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and for being here. That will be the end of this roundtable talk. Again, I am SGA President Amara Fields. I don't know if I introduced myself in the beginning, but I hope everybody enjoys.
Excellent. Thank you.
Everybody look this way for a sec so I can. Thank you.
Okay. Now we're famous.